All right, I'm going to present to you our school's goal of personalizing instruction for students in order to increase reading scores. And so what you'll see is just how my involvement in the program and the steps that we did to do this. And I first started out with a mission statement, and that's because that's our ultimate goal, is to make sure that students are able to succeed in a global society and think critically. So from that, I started out with a sample survey, and I sent those to a select group of teachers and parents, and I sent one out in August and another out in May. The purpose of the August survey was to kind of get a general idea of how the parents and teachers felt about the school, and not specifically about personalized learning, but just as a whole. And then the purpose of the May survey was to use those results to determine if attitudes had changed. And this was before any plan had been put in place on personalized learning. So this is just an overall. These are some sample questions I used. The parent survey is on the left, the student survey on or the teacher on the right. And they're very similar. Some of the questions I asked were, my school is doing a good job of using technology to enhance my child's learning. And that kind of went with the 21st century learning. I feel my child is receiving individualized instruction to fit his or her academic needs, and this really helped when we started the champion block to see if that was effective. The homework my child receives is beneficial and purposeful, so I know that that's a big deal with teachers and administrators in the district. The teacher survey, again, I asked the same question. My school is doing a good job of using technology to enhance student learning. I asked the teachers if they felt prepared as far as professional development, and if they felt that was beneficial in their classroom, and if they felt that they differentiated in personalized instruction for their students. And you'll see the results here in a little bit. Then I went on our website, and this is something Mr. Oak filled out. This is the Cardinals Improvement Plan, just to kind of get an overall. I've got the parents' attitudes, the teachers' attitudes. What is the school's improvement plan? And obviously it was to increase student scores in reading. That was based on the KCCT and MAP testing results. And we were going to do that by developing a school-wide plan for reading, which would be implemented by all staff. And then that's where we go into our personalized plan. I then looked at the school report card, and obviously reading was a huge concern, as shown in the school improvement plan. The biggest concern for me was the number of novice, not really the low percentage of distinguished. And we almost had, and you guys are aware of this, that our proficient and distinguished combined was almost the same as our novice group. And it actually was for the 5th grade. 28% distinguished and proficient, 48, that's almost half in the novice. So huge concern, so my focus then became reading. So here are some questions I had, and we're going to center my project on. What parts of reading are we currently scoring low in? So to divide that out and see what areas, informational, etc. What programs are available to assist in improving reading scores? What programs are already in place? Are we going to keep those? Or are we going to change them? How is reading currently being assessed? And is the assessment a good indicator on how students performed? When I asked the teachers about some of the current assessments, a lot of them said that they didn't think the DRA was a good assessment because teachers were doing it differently. So what are teachers currently doing in the classroom to help students master the standards in reading? Is reading being differentiated? And are students reading and working on material at their level? Are they being challenged? I know a lot of the parents on the survey said, I don't believe my kid's being challenged in reading. They're receiving the same reading material as other students in their class. Are our teachers trained to teach students in reading proficiently? Have they received effective professional development? That's something I got from the survey as well. And what are schools using to teach reading that are currently meeting state requirements? And I know we sent administrators to those schools to see what they were doing. So that became, I was able to get a priority issue, something to focus on. The ultimate goal was to increase reading scores throughout the school. Why is this important? In order for students to be successful in any content areas, they have to be good readers. And then what I was going to focus on primarily was what our school was focusing on, How are we going to increase reading scores? By prescribing a personal learning path for each student. We can target specific skills and develop a plan to meet their needs. So that's what this whole project will be focused on. So where do we begin? The data. And then the data you see here are just some of the determining factors we use: the MAP assessment, K-Prep assessment, DRAs by teachers, the Linda Moubell assessment, which came later. I have that in here as well. System 44 and Read Naturally are programs that we use, but I didn't include the data in this, and then teacher input. In order to personalize learning, we have to know what it is. So, and I don't know if every teacher really knows what personalized learning is. Personalized learning means allowing students to choose their own paths through their curriculum. As I was researching that, I noticed that that's more at the high school level as opposed to elementary. We have to kind of prescribe that path for them. It requires the active direction of the student, whereas individualization lets the school tailor their curriculum to the skill assessments of interest. So just being able to connect our expectations to students, their passions, their interests, letting them choose the reading material. That can happen face-to-face, virtually, which we're starting to do, and through blended learning. Flexible, anytime, everywhere learning. I know that's a goal of ours, is to have students doing it in different areas of the school, before and after school. Project-based authentic learning, I think this happens during our STEAM classes, so we're starting that as well. Who are the stakeholders involved? Everyone. In order to be successful, we need everyone's collaboration. And I just pretty much listed everyone here: the school principals, assistant principals, curriculum coaches, special education teachers, regular and special area teachers, instructional assistants, and parents. I think working to get those parents more involved is important. How are we going to achieve this goal? How are we going to personalize instruction to meet the needs of 450 students? When you look at that, I think a lot of administrators and teachers are like, there's no way you can do that. So we're going to start that by doing the Linda Moubell program, which we call Champion Block. It happens during Champion Block, and the Compass Learning. I focus more on the Compass Learning because it's more personalized instead of the Dream Box, just because that was something we targeted more this year. So what is Champion Block? It's a designated time, 8 to 9:30. It's where teachers, coaches, administrators, and instructional assistants provide instruction or monitor during the time. Students are receiving instruction in Linda Moubell, Compass Odyssey, and Summer Getting Enrichment Reinstruction. And then I divided those up. First, I go to explain what Linda Moubell is. It's curriculum and instruction and assessment. There's progress monitoring. It's process-based instruction. Just a general outline of that. Professional learning that occurs within learning communities. It's continuous improvement, collective responsibility, so everyone's getting involved and there's a goal. It's different from the workshop-driven approach, and this is the most important, I think, is being able to collaborate and meet weekly or sometimes daily to strengthen the practice and increase student results. So this was our plan for implementation, and this is me seeing in on most of the plan. First, obviously, we have to provide appropriate training to the staff, identify the students in the bottom 25th percentile based on the MAP assessment, and I talked to Courtney about a lot of this. Administer a series of Linda Moubell assessments to students, and I actually got to be involved in that process by assessing the assessment, by going in and looking at the assessments. Begin placing students in small groups, assign teachers to the groups, develop an overall schedule, continuous monitoring of the groups, and a huge thing, being able to celebrate student success. And that's being done in all the programs. I explained Compass Odyssey. It's a personalized program that engages learning through critical thinking, so that's how we're meeting the needs of those kids that aren't getting the intense Linda Moubell instruction. It uses MAP data to place students in their appropriate places. It allows them to complete differentiated assignments, so a lot of the times in the classroom we don't necessarily get to differentiate as much as we need to because of time restraints, so this program allows us to do that. Administers formative assessments. It has reporting tools. And these can be, the teachers are able to go in and put those formative assessments in as well. Lessons provided that support scaffolding so the kids are able to see how it's done. It breaks it down into smaller segments. Facilitates parental involvement. The kids are able to do this at home so parents can get involved in their learning process. During the re-instruction enrichment times, I just kind of gave an outline of what kids are doing and receiving during this time. Students scoring above the 25th percentile but below benchmark according to MAP assessment are placed in re-instruction groups, and we focus on mastering those targeted skills. Students scoring above benchmark are placed in an enrichment group and receive instruction that requires that higher level thinking in reading and math. That's where we get those virtual learning to take place. How are we going to assess students? And I've got specifics throughout too. Those effective classroom discussions and questioning, conferring with students, providing feedback, activating students as the owners of their learning styles, and being resources for each other. Progress charts, instructional records, and I've got one of those, the Compass reports, and I have those in hard copy, the MAP testing and the Linda Bell assessments. So obviously a big thing is celebrating student success, and this is what I said was one of my improvements. I sometimes don't take the time to celebrate student success, and even helping with Compass this year, I think I could have done a better job at the student success. So Linda Bell provides students with the opportunity to do this through Magic Stones, the Learning Moment cards, and the Student Star cards. And they're all engraved in the program. Then we had the Compass Carnival and the Compass Field Trip to help celebrate student success with that program. So I feel like we do celebrate student success. I wish I could have done a little bit more in that area. Using data to determine success, our group looked at the following data to determine if growth was being made. So we're doing all these great things. Is anything positive coming about? Are we seeing success? So we would determine if growth is being made by the MAP data and the Compass student reports. And this is the MAP assessment reflecting student growth, and as you see, it's divided into the grade levels. The teacher and the percentage of students who met their growth target in reading. So through the MAP assessments, we are able to see that growth is being made. Linda Bell, I was able to talk to her about this and how the assessments were used to determine growth. And based on it, the increase in MAP scores as well as student success in the classroom indicate that Linda Bell program is successful. However, students are supposed to receive 80 to 100 hours of instruction in the program to fully see if success is being made. And our students didn't do that. According to Courtney, no student at Cardinal received more than 69 hours of instruction. So we weren't able to give the post-test that's generally given once the program's completed. But they were given some type of assessment to determine that. And that's what that looks like. I took the results for small group instruction. This is based on 33 students with an average of 57 hours of instruction. And I just looked at several of the parts of Linda Bell. I didn't look at all of them. But in the SI category, obviously there's huge growth to be made, and that's not even with 80 to 100 hours. And every single category, word attack, word recognition, spelling, rate, and accuracy is increasing. Not as much as probably we want to see, but once that all those hours are in, we should see an increase in that as well. This is just a copy of the instructional records that are used to keep up with the students. Compass data. Reports indicate, even though I think this is harder to determine if there's success with the reports, but reports indicated that students were asked to retake assessments in Compass less frequently, so we weren't having them do it constantly. More students were attending reward events, and because of their increase in MAP scores, more students were receiving lessons that required more critical thinking. So as I saw some of our higher level kids starting to drop and had those discussions, it's because their lessons were becoming more challenging. So that shows that there is success in the program. Budget, this is me looking in. The budget, they that we used for 2012-2013 is I know for a fact we had to hire the 2 staff members from Linda Bell to assist in the planning and modifying, the purchase of materials and resources, the paying of 2 classified staff to monitor the labs before and after school, professional development that was involved, and I'm sure there was much more. This is just my perspective. Survey results. After implementing both the Linda Bell and the Compass Learning, it was evident that parents and teachers felt their child or students were receiving more personalized instruction, and both felt that technology was being used to enhance the students' education, whereas at the beginning those were really low. That was the 2 big jumps I saw. Plan for next year. Hopefully, and we're already doing this, in June and July provide PD opportunities to train teachers in Compass and Linda Bell, and students, or teachers receive that training this summer, and the Linda Bell program. In August, begin looking at data from previous year as far as the Linda Bell and administering tests to new students to start that process a little earlier. Begin the placements of groups and assign teachers to groups. Basically just starting everything early. And last year we started in the middle of the year just because we were familiarizing and getting into the program. Give map tests and rearrange groups if necessary. Ongoing monitoring of teachers and students. And as I said, work to incorporate technology in 21st century learning in both math and reading for enrichment groups. Suggestions for personalized learning. To focus more on the personalization by allowing students to help create their learning path. For example, allowing students to give input on what they think they need to be successful. I think I have trouble visualizing things. I think I might need help with that. So just getting student input. And I think if we make them think that we are considering what they need, then they're more successful in doing what they, in doing that. Set school-wide goals each month for Compass Learning. Allow classes to compete and do weekly shout-outs for success. Just trying to motivate kids more with the Compass Learning. Since our main focus is with reading, our next step is to personalize instruction in other content areas. Allow more student choice regarding projects. And I saw something where in specials, they have outlines of what they're planning on doing that semester, and the kids get to pick, wow, I'd like to go to that special during those weeks, or I'd like to go to that special during those weeks. So some choice, and that would be a big scheduling conflict possibly, but it's something to consider. My involvement in the process, project-based learning, I'm able to do more of that in the STEM lab as opposed to when I was in the classroom. I taught a re-instruction enrichment group during our champion block, so being able to do lesson plans for both of those groups. Assess Linda Bell data for placement into selected groups. I was able to look at the assessments and help determine which groups. Train classroom teachers on how to print and read Compass reports, create assignments and assessments for those teachers, and answer any other questions regarding the Compass Learning. So I feel very confident in Compass now. Receive instruction for Seeing Stars and B&B, and work towards the goal of assisting with lessons and instruction with the Linda Bell. And then there's some resources that I have. Any questions?
Did a great job.
Thank you.